we're going to make a buckskin. Instead of a hair-on tan, we're going to do a hair-off tan, something that people can make some types of arts and crafts stuff out of, shirts, pants, stuff like that. First thing we got to do is we got to get the hide fleshed. We're going to be using deer hides. Then we're going to soak them in a hydrated lime solution, and what that does, that'll loosen the hair up. That'll be a very alkaline bath. We'll leave it in there till you can just pull the hair right on out, and then we'll grain it. We'll take the outside grain off, and we'll neutralize it, and then we'll go ahead and tan it. We'll use a tanning cream on it. If you really want to go the old style, you could use a pulverized brain. But what we're doing is, the tanning is what it really does, is you're getting oil into the hide, and that makes the hide slippery inside the skin. The fibers of the skin get slippery. Let's see what we got for deer hides here. This is a nice thin hide. It's fall here. People are just starting to hunt. Shouldn't have to do too much to them. There should be a little fat on them. This isn't bad at all. So what we're going to do, got a little bit of fat on them. You see the fat here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and flesh this. I got a two-sided knife. I got one, it's got a very sharp edge here. This is a necker knife. You can use about anything. You can use a skinning knife and that, just be careful. And then it's got a dull side here. Kind of fits the board. What we're going to do is we're going to push this off of here. See how it's kind of pushing that fat ahead of me? It won't take long to do this. You see how it kind of peels it away? So I'll do down a little bit like this. Then I'll move it. Get some more. Got a little bit of meat there. If you're looking for hides, go to your nearest locker plant. For $5 or $6, they'll sell you a hide. I'll have about a bag of hydrated lime. In one hide, I'll probably have about $10 plus the labor. The labor is what would cost you money to do this for somebody else. I don't think you can make any money the way labor is on this. This is up around the neck area here. See how you can kind of push that right ahead of you? You can kind of push it. And what we're doing is we'll come back after we get this all said and done, and you see this got some meat right up here. I'm just going to cut this off with the knife, so you can turn your hide around and scrape it off, but we're going to go ahead and keep going across this hide. Anyway, you see how easy that is? You cover a lot of ground with the knife like this. I mean, if you have one, that's great. If you don't sweat. You can get cheaper ones. You can buy one of these out of one of the taxidermy catalogs for, 20 bucks, 25 bucks. It's not a high dollar knife, but if you aren't doing a lot of work, you don't need a high dollar knife. I do a lot of work, so I sprung for a knife that a trapping friend of mine got me fairly cheap. Not cheap, but it was a deal. Anyway, what we're doing is we're going down. We've moved it up a little bit. And we'll just go ahead and go down. You can get fleshing beams out of the trapping catalogs or the taxidermy catalogs. I'm looking along here to see if there's any more fat. Got a little bit over here. We'll move this up here. The fat, we want to get most of the fat off. That'll save us some work later on. Fat and meat. Just keep going. Down toward the rear end is where you end up finding on top of the back. If you do a lot of deer, you'll notice that they collect fat over that area. So we got some fat here. When I talk about graining the hide, when we get to that, what I mean is on the other side where the hair is, when that hair comes out, there'll be a little pore there like. We want to get that grain off of there. You'll see if you get you take a look at your shoes and that, unless they're suede, you'll see a grain on that. We want to go for that kind of a buckskin look. And then, anyway, we're still defatting here. It doesn't take long. I've got this one almost done, and it's been 5 minutes, and I've been talking, so you can imagine. Just watch you don't take your finger off with it when you're doing the work. You know. And I try to do a decent job of fleshing. That's what I say, that'll save us some time in the long run. But I got the fat off of this one, and you can see it's pretty clean hide. There's still a little bit here. Look at that. We're going to go over this again to take when it'll turn kind of a gray color. I'm going to do it. I bought this stuff at the hardware store. You can use, I got about 3 or 4 gallons of water in here. Now you can use a bucket of ashes if you want. Just hardwood ashes. And what that does is that produces a real alkali solution. It's a lye solution. But you can accomplish the same thing with this hydrated lime. And it's, people use it in gardens or whatever. There's several different uses. Farmers use it. It brings the pH up. What we're going to do is we're going to add this, and then we're going to take measurements of the water. I'll just pour some in here, and I want it real alkaline. I don't know if you can float, if you can float an egg on it. You know, an egg, the way an egg's supposed to float, probably be good. I've used that before when I was making rawhide. Use the same type if you want to make rawhide. We're going to do 1 buckskin and 1 rawhide. But it's the same procedure to do the rawhide as the buckskin up until the tanning part of it. Now you see this kind of turned a milky color. I'm going to get my pH test strips out. And one thing you want to do when you're working with this hydrated lime, make sure you wear hand protection. You see how that turned? Very alkaline. I mean, that went right. We're up to about, I've got pH papers here. You can buy these through your taxidermy supply. We're up to about between 10 and 12 right there. See how these are a must to have, these pH papers, so you know what's going on with your pickle solution, this type of solution. So what we're going to do, and if you get it way too high, you can always buffer it back down by putting a little baking soda in it. What we want to do is put this hide in here and stir it. Now what you got to do is you got to mix this every couple hours, I'd say for a while. We want to get this hide nice and wet. And in a day or so, the hotter it is, the sooner it'll start slipping. I'd say this is a very thin-skinned deer, early deer. I'm going to say in a day or two this hair should be ready to start pulling out, and it'll just slough right off. I'll show you how that'll work. But every couple times a day, I'd say at least stir this up. Move it around a little, make sure everything gets good and wet. Just like so. But whatever you do, I was making rawhide once before I knew too much. And I was younger, and I used some stuff from the farm. And I wasn't smart enough to use gloves at the time. And it actually ate the end of my fingers right off. And it took me about a month to heal up. This stuff is really caustic. So you want to make sure you use rubber gloves all the time. If you get it on you, wash up real quick, get it off of you. And don't do what I'm doing, sit here with your mouth open talking and splash it up into your mouth or your eyes. If you don't wear glasses, wear safety goggles so you don't get this stuff in your eyes, because it'll burn. What I'm doing, I'm getting this nice and wet, and then I'm going to put a couple boards on top just to hold that under a little bit some. And now tomorrow, or whenever it starts slipping, I'll come back and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do again to get this thing on the road to being buckskin. I've had a lot of requests for buckskin. So this is what we're going to do, this tape, and some of it will be free, some of it will be for sale. But it'll be a tape that you can use or whatever, or it'll probably be a freebie, I think. I don't know what the wife's going to do. But anyway, we'll find out here. But I got this nice and wet. I'm going to submerge that. Find some wood to put in there. Nice little chunks. Just enough to hold it down. I got some scrap oak. So you put that down there. That'll stay down. Just check it every now and then. Put a lid on it so no animals jump in there. But then I'll get back to you. As soon as it starts slipping, we'll take it out and we'll go from there. Thanks. Alright, we're back here doing the buckskin and the rawhide. Remember, we let this deer soak. I put some hydrated lime, got the pH up about 10 to 12. Put it in there for about 3 days. And now you can see the hide. See this hair slipping off like that? That's what you want, where that hair just slips right off. I mean, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I pulled it out this morning and I let it drip dry because I didn't want to mess in the garage. But anyway, you can really scrape this stuff off by using your knife or just with your hand or any kind of a dull instrument. But works. See how that's coming off of there? We'll just go ahead and roll this around here a little bit, like so. See how easy that is? Now if you use lye, your hide is going to be a lot dirtier. Like wood ashes, you'll end up with a real messy looking hide. But that's up to you. If you want to be authentic, then I would use the hide, the lye, the wood ashes, stuff like that. You see how easy that's coming off? Anyway, I do this the center of the hide all the way down the back. Then I'll work around the edges. go kind of in a circle. See, I could pull this right on off of here, but this knife works better. Any kind of a flat deal on your flesh and beam, or a piece of 6-inch PVC. You can use PVC pipe. Then we'll come back. When we get this done, we'll come back after that grain. It's real smooth here. And we'll get that off of there, so give us a nice buckskin look. Let the tanning solution go in there. Cool. I'll get my belly up in here. Comes off pretty good, doesn't it? Not bad. It's been in there long enough. Alright, see, we're getting down the middle of the back now. Getting down toward the rear end here. Here's the tail. They don't smell so hot when you're doing this, but this is a real short-haired deer too, so you can't grab it. That's one of the reasons I'm using this knife, is you really can't grab that hair and pull it. Yeah, that comes out just pulling right on out. Come back here. We'll get this all the way around, and then we'll come back and do the edges on it, okay? Then I'll show you how we do the graining. We'll finish the other side. Get the slimy film off of the other side. You see, we're working at this. It isn't taking us too long, is it? Now I'm going to do the edges. I got it pretty much all the way around, I think. Well, yeah, I got pretty close. Now we're just going to do the edges, work the edges around. Some of the edges you might not even want to keep if they're real ragged. You can trim them right on off, but we're just going to go ahead and get what we can on here. We just kind of keep working it around, see that? Wherever there's hair left along the edges, we're going to get it off. Okay, we're still going. You can really appreciate what the Indians must have went through trying to squeak out a living and doing this. You know what I mean? It's just Some of the best clothing ever made. Lasted years out on the frontier. Must have been good stuff. I know you can see this because I'm looking over here once in a while, so I hope you get a good shot of it. Just doing really nice here. We're getting the hair off of it. It's just now you make your own buckskin a lot cheaper than buying it. Buy a piece of buckskin might cost a whole deer hide that you could use for clothing. Probably cost you $200 or $300. I don't know anybody who'd do it less for the amount of work you have in it. It's a long process. We're going to keep doing this. But you know, when you think about it, I've only been working on this, what, probably 10 minutes? 10 minutes and I almost got her done. De-haired anyway. Some areas certainly come off easier than others. Pretty good, isn't it? We're really going to town on this. This will give you a workout. Let me tell you. Doesn't sound like it, but it will. Get around here where I can get this edge. I guess if I do a piece of buckskin, I'm not going to get rid of it. You look at the work you have in it. There's no way. No way it'd be worth it to get rid of it. Unless you can hire an apprentice awfully cheap. Tell him this is part of taxidermy, and this is what you have to learn to do. Might buy into it. Get some cheap help. Give him about 10 of these to do. You wouldn't have to worry about any competition from him because he probably quit. Down to the tail. I'm gonna cut this. I'll leave the tail on. What the heck? Cut this tail off because it's just going to ball up the works here. Kind of slippery. Give your abdomen a workout too. Pressing up against that beam. Doing good though. Put your back into her. Alright, guys and girls. One other area here. Okay. That's it. This is it right here. We got our hide completely de-haired, 15 minutes. That's not bad. Now we got to do it a little bit more. What we're going to do is we're going to grain it. We're going to go the same way. We're going to start from the neck and work down. Leave the edges so we can work around the edges. But you can see this here. I'm going to try to get in close here and show you exactly what graining is. Try to get my hand here. You'll see this outer layer of skin. It's kind of smooth. If you take a look at your shoes, you'll see kind of like a pebbly look. Well, what we want on a buckskin, we don't want that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to scrape that off. You can see it coming. Right here. See that? Let's see. Let me move the camera just a hair. You see the difference between this right here and this here. This is a little bit shinier. You can feel it. It's rougher. You see that? It just kind of peeled it off right there. I'm going to show you this right here. This area here. Let's see where we're at here. Let's see. This area right here compared to this area. You got this shiny area right here. And then you see a grained area right here. And you see this slimy stuff coming off? That's that epidermal layer. We want to get that off of there. This is going to be a job, so it's going to take a while to do it. I'm going to do some more and then I'm going to turn the camera off because no sense wasting film on this. This is something that's going to take a while. But anyway, I'll just keep working it here so you can see for a while. You can see it there. See that? See this area right here? Then look at this right here. You can almost see where you can almost see the hair follicles there. But anyway, that's what they call graining the hide. You've heard that before. Get the grain off. There you go. I'll show you this piece right here. See if you can see the difference here. See this here? Right here? Right here, and then look at right here. Big difference. I can feel the ridge right here. This layer is gone. So, I got a little bit right there to get. Some definitely comes off easier than others. But anyway, I think you could buy a piece of tanned deer skin, use a wire brush, take this epidermal layer off, and then smoke it, and you would end up with the water repelling qualities of a smoked hide. I don't know. I'm just thinking, I don't see why it wouldn't work that way, but this here is labor intensive, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Very labor intensive. Very. Trying to get this down here where anyway, I'm going to turn this off. We're going to finish graining this. Then when we turn it over, I'll show you what we do there. I've been working on it a little over an hour, about an hour and 15 minutes. Getting the hair off was easier than graining it. I've got it grained. Got all the grain off for most of it. I turned it over to get the slime off of this. When I scraped it earlier, I got most of that off of there, so it looks like that's pretty good shape. So I don't see anything that has to come off of here. So what we're going to do, I got a few little things here. I want to take in, now what we're going to do is neutralize this side. get this other stuff off of here that needs to come off. Make sure we don't have any extra stuff, like little bits of fat or something. That's what I'm doing there, just getting that off. Usually around the back end. Anyway, we're going to work around this and a lot of work here. I'm just scraping this hair side again. Or no, not the hair side, the flesh side. Sorry about that. Just get the extra stuff off of it. I see there's a little bit of slime on here. That's got to come off. Let's see what we got here. I don't think you can do one of these without getting holes in it though. Somehow. There's a lot of little holes, arrow holes, things like that. But anyway, we're getting that. I'm just going around the edge of the meat side. See if there's anything extra. Just to be on the safe side. I could always probably pick it off after we tan it, but might as well get it now. See that kind of a slimy stuff coming off of there. Anyway, we're just working this quick. Tell you what, I got chores to do. I hope I can make it. I'll tell you what, you end up with quite a mess here on your floor. Got hair, fat, slime, you name it, we got her. Anyway, now we got our hide. See this? Feels like damp buckskin almost. What we're going to do is we're going to neutralize this. Get yourself about 5 gallons of water. Put yourself some vinegar, half a cup of vinegar in it. Take the pH, get her down to 4, 5, or 6. And that way when you put this in, hopefully that pH will come back up to about 7 because you still got that lime in here. What we want to do is we want to get that out of there and get this back to a neutral pH of about 6.5 to 7.5, something like that. Anyway, we're going to do that right now. Okay, I'm holding the camera here so you can see this hide coming in and out of here. I've got the pH, I lowered it to about 4 or 5. What you use is vinegar, what I use just a little bit of acid. I didn't have any vinegar on hand right here, so I used a little acid. But anyway, leave this in here for about a half an hour or so. And we'll come back and we'll rinse this out. Wring it out. Let it hang for a little bit, and then we'll tan it. Just been in there, I went out and did chores. Got the goat fed, stuff like that. And I got this, the pH is about 7 in here. I think everything is equalized now. Been in here about a half an hour. What I do is take care, see how clean this hide is now? What we're going to do is we're going to get ready to tan it. We're just going to wring this thing out. Get most of the water out of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hang it. I'll just go ahead and work some of the moisture out. Now if you're going to do a brain tan, you would just go ahead and take your macerated brains or the mush you make out of them and go ahead and tan it, roll it up, let it sit for a day or two, and you'd end up with a tanned hide. We'll just go ahead and let that drip dry for a while. probably a couple hours or so. And I want, when I lay it out to tan it, I want the tanning solution to go in. And if it's slightly, if it's wet, it won't absorb as good as when it's slightly dry. So we'll just go ahead and wait. I was so tired last night. I let this thing hang all night. And that's all right. It's still moist. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm using a Mackenzie tan today. I shook it up well. We're just going ahead. We're just going to put this on one side, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. Do it as we go, I guess. A little bit at a time. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, so here we are. We're doing this. I did one side, folded it in, did the other, folded it in here, and now what I'm doing, I'm folding this side in. We're just going to keep going ahead and do this as we go along. Make sure we get tanning cream in all over, front and back. Most of these rub-on tans are pretty good. I've had good luck with them. It eliminates most of the pickling stage. Mackenzie, you can use a pickle with it. And it's about as close. I'm going to do this without doing a real, the pickle that you would do if you were going to do a hide, like for a mount, a taxidermy mount. What I'm doing here, tanning a hide is what you're doing is you're putting like buckskin or hair-on tan. What you're doing is you're stabilizing that hide. The oil is soaking in, getting between the fibers, and essentially making it slippery between the fibers. Preserving that hide. We'll go ahead and I don't know the exact chemistry of the whole deal, but I know a brain, when the Indians used brain tanning, the brain has a lot of fat in it. So I'm sure that that's fat and acid. I think it's what it was just a very good preservative. Look at this side here. We got it. We're just going to fold it up. Let it soak in. I use an old feed bag on my table here. And then what I'm going to do, so it doesn't dry out, I'm going to go ahead and put this over the top, plastic bag. Now what I'll do today later, after this soaks for a few hours and this stuff, I'm going to go ahead, after I get these other hides done, and I got a hook to hang it on, I'm going to let it hang up overnight and let the air circulate around there and see if I can draw a little bit of that tanning solution into the hide. But I think it'll be alright. Anyway, that's the way that is. Now, the next step in this processing buckskin is we'll let that tan overnight. We'll wash it in some mild lukewarm water and some Dawn dish soap. Get all that tanning solution off of it. And then we'll rinse it in cool water, and I'll put some fabric softener in there with it, like Downy, and that helps a little bit with breaking it and that. And then we'll wring it out, and then we'll start letting it dry, and we have to break it as it dries, otherwise we'll end up with a hard hide. And I'll take a piece of this hide off of here and show you what happens if you don't keep breaking it. The difference between this and rawhide is after you dehair, you neutralize it, and then stretch it out on a board and let it dry. You have to tack the edges all the way around, or put it on a hoop, a wood hoop like, and do like the Indians did, sew it with thread or whatever, and pull it taut. And that way it'll dry out and it'll be a nice skin. I rinsed it off with the mild soapy water. I let it, I wanted to get all the tanning cream off the outside, so let it do that for about 20 minutes, half an hour. Then I rinsed it off, and then I put a cool water rinse in, and I put a cap full of Downy in there. Let it sit for about 20 minutes. That helps a little bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to wring this out. I'm going to find both ends. Otherwise, it takes quite a while for these to this is the neck end here. You can tell it's a lot thicker. And here's the butt end. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and nail these together, just like so. Just right toward the edge, okay, of the skin. Just go ahead and drive it in there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put our, swing that around, wrap this around there. What we're going to do is we're going to wring this out. I got a piece of oak 1x2 that I use all the time. I want to make sure that you're getting this. I use a piece of oak 1x2. I folded that over. I've got a loop here, just like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start twisting that. I got my nail in here. That'll hold that. And when I'm doing it, I want to try to get this thing wrung out. You can hear it go. You can see the water come out of it. Just pull it as you're stretching. Just let it go. And then what we'll do, we'll unloosen it and do it again. Get that wrapped up in there. We'll go the other way. Got that like so. We'll go ahead and unwrap her like so. We'll go ahead and I'll go the other way. I'm going to fold this stuff inside, loose stuff inside, so it'll get wrung out too. Okay, so we just keep folding them around like so. Oh yeah. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hang her in the shop. And we just keep going. Just it takes a while. Okay, I'm going to unwrap her again. I'm going to make sure my nail hasn't slipped any. I don't let it get on the dirt. I don't want that to happen. There's my nail. Go ahead and make sure you're good. It'll start to tighten up. I got her pretty well wrung out. So I'm going to let that dry. Just kind of, I'm going to hang it the same place I hung it before. I'm going to let it drip dry. After I do one more ring, I really care for this ring job I did. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to use the neck and legs, like so. Let's see if we can get that son of a gun to get my nails straightened out. Okay, here we go. We got this leg, this leg, this leg, this leg. We've got the leg here somewhere. This leg. And neck. I'll figure that out, huh? I'm going to get this back on here a little bit more. There we go. I got a loop here. I got all the loose ends tied up. Hopefully, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get some more water out of this. Yeah, we're getting some more now. There's kind of a bluish water because of the downy I used. But you can see that I'm getting a lot more water out. Now as this dries, you got to start breaking this hide. I'll show you how. I'll hang it tonight, and then we'll have some dry spots in it. And I'll show you how to do that. You see I'm getting a lot of water out of there. You can hear the air coming out. So I'm doing good. I'm just going to pull that a little bit, and then we're going to let her dry by hand now in the shop. So I'll hang her up, let her dry, and then tomorrow we'll work on it some more. I'll show you how to, it won't take long to dry. It's kind of a damp dry right now. Alright, we're back here with this hide. This one we're doing buckskin on. And you can tell it's kind of drying out in some areas, not drying out in others. This area here is real dry. This is still a little bit moist here. But you can tell, like, if you pull on it, you start stretching those fibers apart. That's what you need to do to break this hide and make it soft. We're just going to go ahead and I'll show you how I got this kind of a leaf spring here. Let me go ahead and turn it this way here. This is what I use to break hides with. And I just go over them slow, like so. You can use a rope outside. You can use anything, but that really feels like it's soft. And we're just going to go ahead and work around the edges here where it's drying. And you got to do this all the time, as long as it's drying out. Because if you don't, if this thing gets hard, see here's a wet spot here. It's going to be harder and harder to break. The sooner you do this and can get after it, the better. You see that there, how it's just kind of turning into a nice white leather. It's buttery soft. It feels just soft. So that's good. Anyway, we just keep working that. This is the hardest part about tanning. Hair on or buckskin. You see how it's just kind of doing that? You can tell how it just turns a different color. See? This color right here. Now as soon as we hit that over this, what I call my breaking tool, which is really a leaf spring, it just turns color. It goes right to white. You'll be able to feel this too. I mean, once you drag that over there and break that, it just gets really soft. And that's why, I guess that's why people like buckskin so much, because it is soft. I guess the pleasure of doing it yourself is outweighs the buying it, you know. or having it sent away to be done, tan skin. You do your own. It's not real hard. It's kind of labor intensive. We just get a first breaking in on this. See how I'm kind of breaking. You see it's wet here. Still wet, so what we're doing, we're going around this arrow hole here. We're just going to go ahead and just keep. You see this different color right here? It's almost like a rawhide color. But we're going to break that. Just get those fibers stretched apart. You see that? How we're just kind of neat. It just turns it really soft. But you can do this over a rope or a cable outside. This here I found is the easiest way for me. If you got a friend, you can have them grab one end and you can pull it. If you don't, then you do it yourself. You might lose a friend if you have them help you make buckskin. One thing about this, you'll treasure this hide when you're done with it. You'll treasure it. Soft. This was off a young white-tailed deer, early season, very thin hide. Now I got another one in the refrigerator that I'm going to tan, and we'll try to make some kind of garment out of it, maybe a shirt, and we'll show you that. We might do that. I mean, it's just, this tanning was hard enough. I'm going to sit and look at the hide a little bit. You see how that kind of, see how flexible that is? This is hard here. Well, you see the color here. We're just going to go ahead and change the color of that by breaking the hide. What you're doing is you're spreading those fibers apart. The oil that we used that was in the tanning cream is in there lubricating. All of that oil didn't come out. It's still in there lubricating the fibers. This will give you a workout. I mean, if you want to work up a sweat. I don't know if I do this for a living, but it certainly is a good way to get a little aerobic exercise. You see this? It's almost clear. We're just going to go ahead and break that. Get us a nice color going. We must have done a good job fleshing this and scraping it. I don't find any meat on it or anything, so that's good. Then we got a rawhide out here too that's drying up real nice, and we'll do that. I'll show you a picture of that later. It's drying up. Going to be good for projects of some kind. Might make a parfleche type of a carrying case. You see this here, how white that, or how clear that is, kind of an amber color. You spread those fibers apart, it kind of turns white. what I'll do is when I get done with this first breaking, I'll let it sit and dry out some more, and then I'll turn it over, and I'll do it to this side here. I'll break this side. I'll just turn it over and do it the other way. But anyway, we're doing all right. This is a lot. It dried out a lot better than I thought it would. You worked in a factory, I mean a tannery doing this. Started young. You'd be one brawny, broken down son of a gun after a while. You use about every one of your upper muscles for this. Triceps, lats, delts, you name it. You got it all going here. See that? That is nice. This is kind of still too wet. Break here. Got a little bit here. We'll hang it up. Let some more air circulate around it. I run a dehumidifier in here in the summertime because I don't want it real humid in here. I need to get my mounts dried out. Any place that I feel a hard spot, I'm going to go ahead and get. Now you remember what this hide looked like. We've really, in a couple breakings like this, you can determine how soft you want your hide. You know. Going to use it for arrow quivers or whatever. You might not need it as soft as what you need if you were making some kind of folding. But you see that? That turned out pretty good for the first time around, I think. Like I say, when that dries out, we'll come back and we'll break the other side here. Just like this. I could do it now, but I'm not gonna. I'm tired. But man, you can feel that. That's just butter soft. It's really soft. And then we'll smoke this, and that'll give us a nice color. And actually, water makes it water resistant. And then if you get it wet out, like out in the rain, you can go ahead and give it a light breaking and it'll come right back to what it was. And you only get that property when you smoke it. We'll figure that out. Something in the smoke does some kind of preservative to it. Preserves it somehow, it does something. We'll build us a little tripod. We'll get some sticks, make a tripod, stuff like that. And we'll actually do a good job. Anyway, I ended up breaking the back side of this, and I didn't want to. But anyway, you can see I got a lot of this thing broke here. We'll just leave that hang over there to dry a little bit more. You see right now, see it's getting really soft, this buckskin. The more you work it, the softer it's going to get. I haven't sprayed it with any type of saddle soap or anything like that. I want to get this as soft as I can without that and smoke it and see how it turns out after it's smoked. We're breaking this hide. I'm just getting the hardest spots now. You can feel them. Sometimes they're a little rough, like this spot right here for some reason. So we'll just go against the grain on it. See if we can get that to smooth out a little bit. We turn it over, work it that way. Yeah, that did it. Now you'll see this other side, it kind of looks dingy, but what you can do is you can just take and pull this stuff off, or wire brush it, do whatever you want, and it'll turn kind of white. It comes off, and I'll show you here in just a second. If I can find a good piece to get off, I'll show you how it comes on. It turns real white underneath. It just, you clean this up, just a wire brush, and see how that kind of smooths that out and turns it to, this is going to be kind of a tan color anyway. Now that just feels butter soft after you do that. So I'm just dressing it up a little bit so it looks a little better. Here's some. You could use a wire wheel on this, but you don't want to go. You don't want to do too much to it. You want to try to keep her as, I guess, authentic as possible. We did everything pretty authentically except for using the brains. We just went with a different type of tanning formula. The brain, if you use the brain, has a lot of fat in it, and I believe that's what causes the lubrication in a brain tan one. It's just the fat. Anyway, that's all I'm doing here. I'm just kind of dressing it up a little bit. Getting some of these bigger boogers off here like this here. And that's just stuff from the, you know, after it's been rubbed so much. Just kind of rubs a layer there that, you see that? If you pull a little bit of that top layer off, you see how white it is? That's what I was talking about earlier. And man, when you feel that, that really feels good. That is really a nice feeling. Oops. Anyway, we've got this to where it's, this is a good one. The only problem is, it's a lot of work. A lot of going over it again and again and again. You know, you can make a shirt out of this. You can make about anything out of it. But you'll see up here, I didn't go after these corners here. I want to show you how stiff that is. See, if you don't break that, that's what your hide ends up like. And man, when it's that tough, then you have to, what I'll do is I'll just trim this up right along here. But if you let your whole hide go like that, you can't hardly break it then. So it really doesn't do you any good to do one if you're going to let it go like that, the whole hide. I'm just trying to get this edge right here. This is the thickest part of the hide right here, right around the neck. So we're just going to get it as good as we can here. Looks good. Anyway, we'll go out and build us a little fire here in a little bit, and I'll show you how we're going to smoke this. And see how it turns out after we get it smoked, huh? Anyway, I'll go get some branches and build us a little, in fact, I'll use the branches I used on the rawhide, because I got those still. We'll make us a little teepee, and you see that? We're just kind of pulling away some of this loose stuff. The more you break it, the softer it'll be. It just does, you know, that's just the way it is with this stuff. I can't imagine how they did a buffalo hide or anything like that. It had to be terribly hard. I had a lot of people say, well, they didn't have anything else to do. Well, yeah, they did. They had to live. They had to fix food, had to gather wood, had to do a lot of other things besides sit down with the hide and try to tan it. But I guess if your life depends on it, it's a lot easier to do. Anyway, I got a piece of this booger here I'm going to show you. See how that pulled off of there? Kind of a flaky, papery substance. And you end up with that. But underneath is still leather. You don't want to pull too much off though. You know, one layer of that is pretty good. You know, this was a thin hide to begin with. This was a young doe hide. So, pretty soft, or pretty thin. Taken earlier in the year. Anyway, we got this thing here where we're about got it whipped. I mean, it's not the softest buckskin in the world, but I get my other one done, I can make a nice shirt out of this, maybe. This will be the front. I'll cut a neck hole in it, maybe. Do something with it. Got a lot of, like I say, after it smokes, we'll see how soft it is. If it looks like it needs some more softening, I'll do some more softening. But we're getting it to where, you know, it's not bad. This will give you a workout. I haven't felt good the last couple of days anyway with the cold. I'll tell you what, it doesn't take much of this to work up a sweat. I'll tell you that much right now. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just like so. Anyway, this nice, well, it's kind of a rounded edge now, but works pretty good for doing this type of work. So, anyway, we'll see how we're doing it. We got a good buddy that wants to help you do it. We'll recruit his butt. But, you probably pull it between over a nice taut snare cable or rope and do a pretty good job with it too if you had two people. Get pretty tiresome with one, I'll tell you that. Well, it gets tiring anyway, but anyway. Anyway, this is one of the legs here, I think. We're just trying to get her soft out to the end. Sometimes you'll end up with a little tendon on there or something left over. We'll get that off of there. Anyway, you can learn a lot doing this. If you find some areas that you don't think are tan, just go ahead and cut them out. Or they never get soft. Sometimes if you use a pickle bath, you'll run into hard spots on a hide. They never seem to get soft, and for one reason or another, and I think it's because the pH didn't get back to where it should have been. And if you got real specialized areas, like one little place where it looks like it just doesn't look like it's ever going to get soft, just keep working it. I got one right here. I folded it over and I'm working it. It's getting a little softer too. There's always one way to beat them, but no matter what it is or what you're doing, this is hard. So before you tackle a project like this, you got to make sure that you have the patience and the time. Anyways, I got a piece of buckskin here. That's all that needs to be done, is to have it smoked now. And we're going to go out and get a fire going. And if it doesn't look like it's going to get any softer than that, we'll add something to it maybe and get it a little bit softer. I think this thing is going to be plenty soft. Just keep working it. Oh yeah, baby. That feels good. Yeah, that was kind of a spot I was looking at. Come to find out, it isn't all that bad. Something like, oh, it's good. I was a little concerned about that spot, but it turned out all right. It was just like this spot right here, so I'll show you. We're gonna turn it over and go right after it. It turned out soft. It softens it right up, so anyway. This side looks like it's gonna be doing all right. So I'll go out and I'll get a little fire going, build a tripod, and we'll get that going, and then I'll show you how we smoke it. Alright, you can see right now that I've got a little fire going. I built a little tripod. What I'm doing now is blocking it up so it's kind of breezy here today. So what I'm doing is I'm blocking this up a little bit. I'm going to let this fire burn down a little, and that way the wind won't blow the smoke away from here. So I'm just letting that burn down a little, getting this thing built. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. It's pretty simple. What I'm going to do is just block this in like so. You see that? Just use anything you can. What the heck? It's just no biggie. What we want to do is keep that smoke coming up in the air. We don't want to cook the leather. You know what I mean? We just want to get it smoky going up. What I'm using, and I thought, well, as long as I'm going to make some stuff out of it, I'm going to use cedar chips. And you can get cedar chips about anywheres. I'll just let them go down a little bit, and I'm just going to do just like so. I will move this around as it's smoking, and I'll see if I can feel the heat coming out of there. I don't want too much heat, like I say. I don't want to get too much stuff in there. I want to get stuff that'll smoke. I'll harvest some stuff right out of my own backyard here. I got some grape leaves. I'll add those, and this ought to really smoke. We'll see if we can get some smoke coming up. You can see the smoke coming up through here, which is good. That's what we want. We want that smoke coming up. Now I suppose you could find yourself a fancy rack and all that, but what the heck? We don't have that, so what I'm doing is I'm going to rearrange this a little bit. Get some smoky stuff going. Oh, we got some smoke coming out of there now. Not a lot of heat either, just smoke, which is good. I'm going to leave it on here for about 20 minutes on this side. Then I'll flip it over, try to get some of these areas that aren't getting smoked. Like so. I don't want anything going in the fire, so I'm going to get some more greenery here. Oh yeah, baby, we got her. Little cedar, a little of this, a little of that. I'll keep throwing some twigs on there, little twigs, not big ones. So we got a good smoke going. And I'm thinking in a couple minutes you're going to see a nice tan skin. It's going to look like buckskin, kind of a nice, yellow color. Okay, let's see what we got here. We'll keep that from getting in the fire there. We got a pretty good piece right here. There we go. Don't get in the fire. We'll just go ahead and go just like so. Keep most of that smoke in there. Yeah, it's coming out the top here. The height just barely warm, lukewarm. One thing about that smoke is it'll get in anywhere, which is good. I'm feeling around, making sure it doesn't get hot. I'm gonna get some more greenery. Got some good leaves here. Come off some kind of a tree here. Anyway, we'll get some good stuff going here. I can see it getting, you can see it getting a little bit of a different color here. See that? I'm going to go ahead and just keep moving her around a little bit until she gets all the color we can handle. Anyway, we'll get this one side done. I was having too much trouble with the wind here on my fire, so I went and I had a piece of this tarp, so I wrapped it around the bottom to channel the smoke up out of there. And you can see how the smoke is coming up out of there nicely. You might not be able to see it too good, but it's coming out of there. And you can see the color of the raw of the buckskin is changing. It's getting a little bit darker. Kind of a, I don't know what you call it, a buckskin color, I guess. You know, kind of a little bit tanner. It's working out pretty good. You got to remember, you got to keep a small fire going. It's kind of hard to do, but just keep adding a few dry twigs once in a while with some green ones. And then if the fire gets out of hand, I'd just go ahead and I'll drop some green leaves on top of it. But let's see, I've been smoking it about an hour, I guess. Half an hour on each side, whatever. It's starting to get there. We'll smoke it a little bit more. Depends on what kind of color you want to it. You can smoke it as long as you want. I suppose it depends on what kind of wood you want too. I'm using cedar chips and some green mulberry. So I think the cedar, the dry stuff, burns a little hotter, so I don't get the real good smoke out of it, but it's a nice smell. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and add a few more to it, and then I'm going to get some leaves here. I'm going to add a few more leaves to it, see if we can get it smoking a little bit more. That should do it. That should get us some smoke going there. Doing a pretty good job. It's getting darker and darker. You can see the darkness here. It's getting darker in here. Oh yeah, we're getting pretty good color there, so you can kind of tell the difference in the color. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this hide around a little bit. I'm going to flip-flop it.
You can kind of see the uneven colors on it maybe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go just like so. Get my fire going a little bit over too. Try to get some wood going here. Got a lot of butt ends here. Get going, and we'll just go ahead and get this little bit more going on. This little going. I think we can get some dry stuff here. And get some little bitty dry twigs in here. Looks like we got some. Probably got some fire going there. Let's go ahead and wrap this around here like so. Looks like that's going to do it, doesn't it? How you doing there, puppy? How you doing, little doggy? That little dog I rescued from Oklahoma. She came into camp one night. Ready to wrap her up. I think we've got enough smoke in it. You see my thing just came off of there, which is good. So I'll take this off of here. And I'll show you just exactly what we've done. If it needs more, we can always smoke it some more. But anyway, you can see it didn't get too hard. It's ended up, see this, it's fairly loose, a little bit more work on it, and it'll be, you can use it for any kind of garment or whatever. You can see it's starting to get that nice buckskin look to it, a little bit yellowish, I guess. Anyway, that's the way it looks, and we'll go over it again. If I don't like the looks of it, I'll redo it. But